He's here now.
Yeah, he's here right now.
He's
ready
here.
to
There
roll.
he is. Look at, oh my God, look at that. So speaking of man and Manscaped, do you use Manscaped?
No, I don't. I had a man groomer before, but
Yeah.
now I have a wife, so.
Hey, that'll work. You know, the wife could manipulate the lawnmower 3.0. Yeah, or something like that. How you doing tonight, Megabyte Ronnie? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good, bud. How about you?
I'm doing really shitty today. I had to wake up. Well, that's a good thing. That's not a shitty thing. But I had to have a root canal today. So half of my face is still numb. So I apologize for that. But I am here. But
good. How'd the root canal go?
It went. You know, they took needles about this long and jammed them 3 times into my jaw. Went around digging in there, and all things are clean and good to go. And I got to go back in 7 days to cap it or some crap like that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like it worked out for you so far, anyways.
So far. But yeah. So you're here. And I wanted to kick things off. I found this interesting. Obviously, you're a wrestler. You're involved in wrestling, and you got a lot of. We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on your major league eating, which I just think is phenomenal. But to me, I'm trying to figure out how somebody like when you're 4 years old, like one of my daughters is 4, so you're 4 years old. I believe you were in Germany. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that's when you get hooked on wrestling.
Yeah, that's correct. That's wow, you did some homework there.
I tried.
When we were in Germany, my dad was stationed in Germany, and as a kid, we only had 4 channels, and I never really got too much into cartoons myself, so I was just browsing around the 4 channels, and one day wrestling was on, and I don't know what show it was on, but they were bringing the wrestlers out, like the people were carrying them out with the stage on their shoulders, like 4 guys in each corner, and here they are, you know, macho men, just bigger than life and stuff like that. And that was one of the very earliest memories I have, and I was hooked like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you probably my father was also in the military, but we didn't move around as much. But you must have been moving around a lot then, right?
Yeah, I went to 14 different schools growing up, so I moved around quite a bit.
Yeah. So you fall in love with the pageantry, the entertainment, I guess, especially at 4, the entertainment value to get you hooked on wrestling then is top notch. When in your mind does it click with you, like, hey, like maybe I can? Did you play sports? Were you athletic? When did it click with you, like this is something I want to do?
No, I didn't play sports in high school. I was too busy playing World of Warcraft.
I saw that too. I was gonna make a bunch of World of Warcraft references tonight, but I don't play that game, so I would have just sounded really, really bad. Although I do know, I went to PAX East. I do know there's like 2 factions. There's the Horde, and there's the I don't know the other one.
Alliance.
The Alliance. So are you Horde or Alliance?
I play Alliance.
You play Alliance. So we're Team Alliance tonight. Yes.
But yeah, I wasn't very athletic. I never really went to a gym or anything like that until I joined the Army, and that was the first time really doing exercise my entire life, was them kicking me into shape.
Yeah.
Joining the Army, one of the things that was one of the reasons I joined was to get in shape in order to be able to do this. I had always wanted to be a wrestler, and I was completely out of shape, and I figured the Army would get me into shape. It took me a long time to finally get in the ring, but I got there eventually.
When did you get in the ring?
I got in the ring the very first time when I was 27. I trained in North Carolina for 1 month, and then I quit, mostly because it was hard for me to accept that the first time I stepped in a ring, I wasn't Ric Flair. I really beat myself up quite a bit, probably too much, and just a lot of anxiety, and it's really nerve-wracking to think, what if I'm not going to be any good at this? So I quit, and at 29, I kind of at a last ditch effort, moved to Buffalo to do this again.
And and that's where you are now,
Mhm.
in Buffalo.
Correct.
Yes, I'm respectful. I'm going to let you read that tweet without being distracted, or the message. Speaking of Buffalo, are you a Bills fan? Football?
Well, I'm not. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, I can't. That's rough year for them. Rough year.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you can see, but I actually have the colors painted in my room as well. So,
Oh yeah, that is a rough year, especially losing Dak.
oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's tough for them. So, but I mean, seeing all Bills Mafia up there too, probably going crazy. You're,
Oh, I love it.
yeah,
I never thought I would ever have a second team. I was completely against that my entire life. Like I
yeah,
never believed in having a second team.
I
But
agree.
when you move up here, you really get swept into Bills Mafia. The city of Buffalo really loves that team. That team really loves the city, and everybody really can bond over the Bills. So that when you ask me if I'm a Bills fan, I'm always a Cowboys fan first. But for the first time in my life, I'm a Bills fan second.
Yeah, and what you got going for you is they're in two different conferences. So if you're in Buffalo and you want to be a little Bills Mafia, it's okay for the time being because they're not in the same division or the same conference. So we'll let you slide. Let you slide.
Right, right. It's nice. It's nice that they're opposite conferences for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, and those Bills fans are nuts too. They're putting themselves through tables.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you put a Bills fan through a table? That's a good question.
Yeah, I actually did a spot where I put somebody through a table, and I think it may air it on Fox or something like that for like a little like outro going into a commercial break. So
Oh,
I love it, man, and the people of Buffalo have really taken on to me. So I love this city and everything that it is involved in, and those tailgates are wild, but I can't wait to get back out there.
yeah. Something that I've learned since I've started really ramping up this show, and I did it during the pandemic because what else is there to do? I was homeschooling and I just ramped it up. I've learned a couple things. I've learned indie wrestling is huge, which I never even knew about, which is sad. I learned Canadian wrestling is awesome, and I've learned there's a lot of hidden talent. There's a lot of talent in Buffalo, where you are, where you got a majority of your training. Is Buffalo the hidden gem of wrestling?
I would bet everything I have that Buffalo is the best city in the world for wrestling. I can't think of another city that has so much talent. When you think of the quote unquote Buffalo brothers, you think
Yep.
Butcher and the Blade, you think Kevin Blackwood, Kevin Bennett, Daniel Garcia, Puff, and myself. Well, now myself, I've kind of came out a little bit later than a lot of those guys. But there's guys that wrestle here in Buffalo that you don't know about. There's the Nachi brothers who are 6'5", 6'6", and they're 240 pounds of solid muscle. And then you could stick them on WWE tomorrow, and they'd be the biggest and baddest guys there. You got kids like Vinny Moon, who's 21 years old, who can get out there and have the crowd vibing with him the entire time. And you just got so much talent here that there's more talent than what has already been discovered.
Wow, those are some big boys. Those brothers. Good grief.
Yeah.
You mentioned a name there, Puff. I watched, and I apologize for this. I only watched half of it because I had to take my daughter to gymnastics. But the half of the 4th of July cinematic barbecue match with Puff was solid gold. And I just put your YouTube link in the chat so people can go there and watch it. Yeah. Any reflections on that? Is there going to be a sequel? Tell us a little about that.
We've tried to get a sequel, so we've had plans to do it, but for whatever reason, it falls through a lot. But there is going to be another cinematic match that we put out. I think the thing that me and Puff really vibe over is we're both what's the word? We're both into wanting to entertain our fans, right? So we're two guys who want to put out very good content as often and frequently as we can for our fans. And that 4th of July barbecue match, that cinematic match, is probably the proudest thing I've ever put out. Like we had an idea, and we shot it 1 week later, and we shot it in 2 days, and we put it together. It was in such a rush to try and get it out on the 4th of July, and it just Am I don't know. It may sound arrogant, but I think that's probably the second or third best cinematic match of all time. Like
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, it's really good. Definitely, you should be putting that over for sure. Don't apologize for that. 1 second, because my littlest fan just snuck in here. And what do you want to say, honey?
I'm going to bed.
You're going to bed. All right. Good night. Oh,
Good night.
I take a picture of this and show, and then.
yeah, tomorrow. You can do that tomorrow. Megabyte Ronnie says good night. Oh, she waved. She waved.
That's cute. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. She goes, "Who is that?" I'll show her tomorrow. She'll really enjoy that barbecue cinematic thing, and she'll also enjoy when I say, "Oh, look, this is his wife coming out," because she was the star. That she came out as security.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So big shout out to her too, as well.
Yeah, man. I tried my best to get my wife as involved in many things as I can because she supports me so much. She does so much for me, and that a lot of people have no clue, how much she means to me and how much she supports me. So if I can get her any camera time, I'm gonna try as much as I can.
Speaking of wives and family, what's going on? You guys realize I'm doing a show. I have Megabyte Ronnie on. You guys are all down here.
I know. Sorry, Megabyte Ronnie.
Does anybody want to ask him anything? He's a competitive eater.
Why do you have that? Like a competitive eater?
Yeah, he eats food competitively, and he's a wrestler. I don't know. Come ask him.
Eating food is competitive.
I don't know. You guys should all go to bed. Yeah, I'll have school tomorrow.
Anya, this is not. It is, but it's not what I'm doing right now. Okay? You came to show me the lights, right?
Yes.
Sorry, Kevin. Sorry.
That's fine. Just good night, ladies.
Good night, gentlemen, and Megabyte Ronnie. Any relation to Ronnie the limo driver?
No, I don't think he's related to Ronnie the limo driver. Although he's got a phenomenal mustache like Ronnie the limo driver.
All right, get back to your interview. Come on, guys, we're interrupting.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm sure. Good night, Luca. Have a good night. Sorry about that, Ronnie.
That's all good.
Yeah. So the wife very supportive. My wife, as you can see, also very supportive. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and occasional Saturdays, she allows me to ditch her in the parenting duties and come down here and put on this show. So if it wasn't for our better halves, we probably wouldn't be doing what you're doing and what I'm doing. So big shout out to all the better halves out there.
Definitely that.
Yes. We'll get back into the wrestling, especially your time on Dark and all that stuff and what you got going on now. But I did bring up competitive eating with my older daughter there. Now you were doing competitive. Now, you're part of Major League Eating, so MLE. So you're a professional eater.
Correct.
And you were doing that before wrestling, correct?
Yeah. I started doing competitive eating when I was 24, 25.
And how does that come about?
Well, it's kind of funny actually. So a lot of people, when they deploy to Afghanistan, they get like a year's notice that they're getting deployed. I got pulled into a room one day with 3 other people, and I pretty much at the end of this meeting, they asked us which one of us wanted to volunteer to go to Afghanistan, and I was the one who raised his hand. And they were like, "Cool, well, you leave in 3 weeks." So I had a 3 weeks notice that I was going to Afghanistan, and so I was like, let me do some of these bucket list things. And one of those bucket list things is I always wanted to do one of those restaurant challenges that you see. And so I went into one that had a 3-pound burger and a pound of fries, and I smashed it. Like I got pretty close to breaking the record, and I was like, okay. So I looked it up, and there was an undefeated 7-pound pizza in Jacksonville. And I said, you know what? Let me see if I can do this. And I drove down there, and I was the first person ever to finish this 7-pound pizza. It was an hour time limit, and I think I finished it at 59:36. So I have a habit of just squeaking them in barely. And so I deployed to Afghanistan, and while I was deployed over there, one day our first sergeant, thought for entertainment we were going to have an eating contest. So he found somebody on our base to go against me, and I destroyed him in that. And it wasn't long before the cooks and everybody else were telling me I needed to do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Yeah. So I looked up how to do that, and it turns out you got to win a qualifier. They have about 12 qualifiers around the United States. Top man, top woman goes on to the big contest on the 4th of July. And it just so happened to be there was a qualifier in Georgia the day I started my post-Afghanistan vacation. So I drove up there, and I finished second in the contest. I signed a contract to Major League Eating, and that's what I've been doing since then.
Wow, that's amazing. And now the ironic part that I found was Nathan's, the Nathan's hot dog eating championship. It's big. It's like it's on ESPN all the time. Nobody knows about it, all that stuff. But now you're up in Buffalo, and Buffalo has their own famous hot dogs up there. I'm gonna botch the name because there's no reason to remember it because Nathan's is superior. But it's like it's Salim's or Salim's. Salen's.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most ironic part. That now you started in Nathan's and now you're up in a place that has their own crew.
Yeah, I love a Salen's hot dog. I go back and forth with those guys on Twitter quite a bit, and I would love to be in a Salen's contest if it was ever allowed. But I think some trademarks and stuff like that probably is not going to allow that. But if it happened, I'd be there.
That's a good thing that you bring up. So you're signed. You're part of you're a professional. You're MLE. And you had mentioned you got started because one of your things on your bucket list was to, those restaurant challenges. Smash this, you get this, that type of thing. Get your name up on a plaque. Are you allowed to do those now that you're a professional for MLE? Can you do that?
Well, back when I signed the contract, Major League Eating was pretty stiff on not allowing us to do those restaurant challenges. And I think what it has to do is that if us as a professional eater go into a restaurant and fail a challenge or something like that, that restaurant can use that to market and stuff like that. But I think that the success that Matt Stoney, better known as the Megatoad, had on YouTube, and some of these other guys like Beard Meats Food and
Beard Meats Food,
Epic Mealtime, and all these food channels really took off on YouTube, so they relaxed the rules on that. So they allow us to do that, but I'm not allowed to do any other contests. So like if there's like the city of Buffalo had a pierogi contest that Puff and Andy Williams was in, better known as the Butcher. I couldn't go do that contest, and it's kind of a bummer because I have people who want to challenge me and stuff like that all the time, and I'm like, I'm legally not allowed to do this. But on the other coin flip to that, I don't think these people understand that that's like challenging, Steph Curry to a 3-point contest. I'm a professional. I'm the 18th best in the world. You can be a buffet warrior all you want, but you're not going to out eat me. It's just not happening.
If you were allowed in that pierogi contest, how many pierogis could you have smashed?
I'm not sure what that contest rules were. It may have been like first to eat 20 or 30 or 40 like that. We have a gyoza contest on the Major League circuit that I've never made it to. But people that I can eat around the same amount of hot dogs are eating around 200, 230 pierogies in 10 minutes. So I would say I would be in around the 200 mark.
Insane. Buffalo wings, you big buffalo wing guy?
Oh yeah. Hot dogs are definitely my favorite food, but chicken wings a close second.
Yeah, being up in Buffalo, and Buffalo has buffalo wings. I mean, that's where they came from, I guess, allegedly. So that leads me into the Hot Ones episode with Cody from AEW, with Cody Rhodes. How does that come about? How do you get on that with him?
Well, honestly, so me and my wife did Hot Ones, the game show on True TV, and I'm not even necessarily sure how that came out. One day, somebody came into my Instagram and was like, "Hey, have you ever seen Hot Ones?" And I'm like, "Of course I've seen Hot Ones." And they're like, "Well, we're having a game show. We'd like for you to try out for it." Eventually, we try out and we get on the TV show. And one day I'm sitting around and I get an email and they're like, "Hey, we're doing a redemption series with people who didn't win. And we're matching them up with celebrities, and we want to match you up with somebody." And they were like, "Do you know pop culture?" And I was like, No, not really. All I do is watch wrestling and play video games. I know a little bit about. Well, I know a lot about sports, but I don't watch TV or movies a whole lot.
Okay.
And they were like, "Well, have you ever seen Impractical Jokers?" And I hadn't seen Impractical Jokers, and they were like, "Well, you need to start watching that." And I was like, "Okay." So as it was leading up to the recording date, I was watching like 3 hours of Impractical Jokers every day, trying to be prepared
Trying to
if
catch
one of those
up.
guys were gonna be on the show with me. And there I am sitting waiting for somebody to pop up, my guest or my tag team partner, and then Cody Rhodes pops up on my monitor, and that was wild. And I'm very thankful for Sean Evans and Hot Ones for hooking me up with Cody, because if I'm not eating chicken wings with Cody, I don't know if I'm wrestling Brian Cage on Dark.
Yeah, for sure. Man, those guys at Hot Ones, they must be wrestling fans, because they've had several wrestlers. They must be.
I think so. I think Sean Evans is a wrestling fan. He's a super nice guy, and it's crazy, man, because I wrote him a message when I got put on Dark, and I thanked him so much, because I don't think I would have been there had it not been for him, seeking me out and getting me back on the TV show, or back on the YouTube series. And he said some nice things, and he told me that I would have made it there without him, that he was sure that he's just glad he could help me out. So that's something that that's really cool, that stays with me to this day.
So this does lead into a match with Brian Cage on AEW Dark, as you said. So that's how it comes about. Well, what's that experience like after that match? What's the reaction like? Who do you turn to? Who comes to you?
Well, to be honest with you, so that recording, they were recording, I think, 2 episodes of Dynamite and 1 episode of Dark, or maybe 2 episodes of Dark on a Wednesday and Thursday. So it was heavy taping. So that day's taping, there was 18 matches, and me and Brian Cage were match 18. So we actually had that match at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. So honestly, after my match, everybody was just ready to go home and go to bed. But I had a lot of people who were really excited for me. Kip Sabian was super nice and super about it. Vicky Guerrero loved it. A lot of people came up to me and were extremely nice. And the reception to me while I was down there was very great, especially for being the elite segment.
Yes. Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because you were on that, correct?
Yeah. So what happened is that they told me so I wrestled on Wednesday, and we did Being the Lead on Thursday, and they told me on Wednesday that they wanted me to eat something, and they were like, "Well, what do you want to eat?" And I was like, "Well, I think I could eat a lot of cake." And they're like, "Well, how much cake are we talking?" And I was like, "I think I could eat 2 cakes in probably 7 minutes." And they were like, "Perfect." So I think that's about what they wanted for that segment. So they were like, "Well, what kind of cake?" And I was like, "Well, let's get something moist. How about a lemon glazed cake?" And they were like, "All right, we got it." So we had to go through the tapings that day. So we go back to the hotel again at 3 a.m. at night. Oh. And like, I could kind of tell that, I don't think those guys expected too much of me. Right. So they're like, they're running this segment over to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get a shot of you walking down the hall with the cake. You think you could do something funny?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And I'm fucking walking down the cake, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I'm eyeballing this cake, and I said something like, "Oh man, I should have been a delivery driver with an appetite like this." And we finished that, and the Bucks and Brandon Cutler thought that was hilarious, and we go in there to record the segment where I'm eating the cake as Brandon Cutler is talking on the phone, and we nailed that out in one take. And as I'm eating that cake, Eddie Kingston's about 5 feet in front of me, marking out the entire time. He really enjoyed watching me eating that cake. Miro was a big fan of it, so it's really cool, man. It's really cool to go in there and be able to really, well, lack of a better term, put myself over by getting to do the 2 things that I do, which is eat and wrestle.
Yeah, they allow you to be yourself and let the talent be talented, and you definitely did that. AEW AEW Dark BTE does have a heavy social media gaming aspect, actually, with Miro. Miro's on Twitch playing his games. What other you talked about World of Warcraft, but what else do you play?
I kind of play. All right, so I basically play World of Warcraft. I play League of Legends.
Okay.
I play Pokemon here and there. But I play. I'm a super competitive gamer, so like the Call of Duty and stuff like that is just a little bit too casual for me. And I've never really been good at shooters, so I stick to MOBA and MMOs and things like that.
Yeah. Would it be this? You don't need to answer this, but my father was in the military as well, and I couldn't play those first person shooters like Call of Duty at my house when my dad was around, due to he was in Vietnam due to his PTSD. Is that like, do you not play him for that reason, or?
I think a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
which is crazy because I have friends that went to
Yep.
war that play those games 24/7.
Yeah.
But
But everyone's different, yeah.
yeah. For me, it's just not as enjoyable. It kind of takes me out of the element of playing a video game.
Yeah, for sure. I can totally relate to that. I mean, my dad explained it all to me, and it was like, wow. I was like, yeah. So I
Yeah.
stopped on Christmas vacations. I stopped playing those games up there and moved to just sports. But
Yeah.
yeah. Would you rather be the MLE world champion, Nathan's hot dogs eating world champion, or I don't know, TNT world champion?
TNT.
TNT. Would you rather be the major
That was
league?
quick.
That was quick. That was quick. That was very quick.
Well,
Yeah.
let me for everybody out there who's doesn't know me that well or knows me kind of well, I did get into competitive eating before I got into wrestling, but competitive eating is not my number one passion. Professional wrestling has always been the thing I've loved more than anything my entire life. There's nothing besides my wife to me that's more important than professional wrestling. I absolutely love this sport. I love everything about it, and I would rather be a fucking ring crew guy at one of these big companies than a competitive eater. I guess this is all I've wanted to do. I am not a competitive eater who is a professional wrestler. I am a professional wrestler who is a competitive eater.
Awesome. Your phone goes off right now. It's from every one of the major promotions. So take that for what it's worth, whatever one you want to consider major. They all offer you the same exact deal, same, financial, same years. They all offer you the same one. Which one are you replying yes to, and why?
The first one that called me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I'm an army guy. Like, I'm a part of a brotherhood, and I have been doing this for 2 years. I had my 20th match on AEW Dark. People, I assume these companies know who I am by now, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly think that I have everything in me to be one of the top guys in this sport, not of this generation, of all time. So if anybody out there, if whoever wanted to give me that shot first, I would be extremely loyal to that person or that company, and I would do everything that I could to make it work for that company, because they would be the first to take a shot on me or a chance on me. So if that phone rang right now and it was any one of those companies, the answer would be yes for whatever offer they got for me.
Excellent. Final question. I haven't asked this one in a long time. I used to ask it all the time. Triple threat match. I'm putting you and a current wrestler and a past wrestler. Who would those wrestlers be?
Me, a current wrestler, and a past wrestler.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question.
It's tough, right?
Yeah. I think I'm going with me versus Kevin Blackwood versus Christian.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice. Kevin Blackwood from Buffalo. Am I right? Yes.
So here's the thing about Kevin Blackwood that I absolutely love about Kevin is that I've never seen him have a bad match with anybody. He he never has a bad match. He's so smart at professional wrestling that, I would, if, given this match, I assume I need to have a great match if I'm getting the chance to be in a ring with a past superstar or somebody like Christian. So, I would definitely trust to have Kevin in there to make sure it's going to be a good match. And then, that's another thing about Christian that I admire so much is I don't know if I've ever seen Christian have a bad match.
Yeah.
So, for somebody like me whose match that would be like my 25th match, I would have those two guys in there to definitely make sure that we're going to have a great match.
For sure. That's great. That's a great pick. Great pick. Well, Ronnie, Megabyte Ronnie, sorry. It's the time of the show. I'm going to give you the mic. You can put over anything you want. I will not interrupt. If I didn't touch on something that you want to push out, go ahead. Let us know where to find you, what's going on, all that fun stuff.
Okay. For those of you out there who do not know who I am, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Megabyte Ronnie. I am the hungriest man in professional wrestling. You can see me on YouTube at youtube.com/Megabyte Ronnie. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Megabyte Ronnie. And if you want to go buy some of my t-shirts, head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/Megabyte Ronnie. And, if you want to see me eat food, make sure you check out youtube.com/Megabyte Ronnie. Pretty much Megabyte Ronnie on everything else out there. And I appreciate the support. If any of you got any questions or anything you want to ask me or anything like that, just hit me up on Twitter. I'm always there to respond to anybody. And anybody out there watching, thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anytime, man. Thanks. You've been a pleasure to have on. Thank you for putting up with my family that popped in for tonight. And tell your wife I said thank you for allowing us to have this time. And hopefully we'll see you on Dark again, or maybe Dynamite, or maybe that third hour that they're talking about. But hopefully we see you somewhere soon, because I think the world does need to see you. So have a great night. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Have a good night.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
We'll talk again.
Yeah, peace. Have a good night. Awesome. Great stuff. Great. What'd you think of that there, Bama Dave? In the chat? Bob?
So good.
Was good. It's a good guy. I enjoyed it.
I know. I added the pro wrestling tees because I saw you didn't have it.
Yeah, you know what? I started to grab it earlier today, and their pro wrestling tees links are weird now. They're weird. So I'm glad you grabbed it.
Well, I saw his shirt and I was like, oh my god, I want that shirt.
Yeah. I literally just pulled this out of my pocket. I have no idea. It goes here, but I don't know how it got in my pocket.
You must have brushed up against it.
I guess so.
Kyle is here. I think it's Kyle.
Kyle is here. I don't know who else is here. I thought people might have some questions tonight for him. I guess not. But it was a good. I felt I did good. I felt we had a good rapport. His cinematic, that barbecue match is phenomenal. Go watch it on his YouTube.
Yeah, everyone go watch it. Seriously.
Great stuff.
And then just watch his YouTube. Seriously, I just scrolled through his YouTube, and I don't even know how I found this gentleman. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't even know how I found him. Maybe it was Puff, because I follow Puff on Twitter. So maybe Puff was.
Yeah, we talked about Puff one night. Yeah.
Or Kevin Blackwood was putting him over. I don't know, but I found him, and I literally, as soon as I saw the first 30 seconds of it, I was like, I need to book this man.
Yeah,
I need to book this man.
He's a man's man. He's got a sweet mustache. Likes to
Oh,
smash.
that mustache is phenomenal.
He likes to smash.
And he's he
food.
doesn't play with it. He just
no,
it's just
man,
there.
it's just there, man. The man, that's a man. Good.
And did you hear him? He said he could eat 200 pierogies in 10 minutes. Did we just gloss over the fact that he just was like, yeah, I could eat 200 in 10 minutes?
I noticed that. I was gonna crowbar in. I should have done it. I was gonna be like, I have a friend, Violetta, who makes a plethora of pierogies. They're moist, but I didn't, and I should have, and I didn't, and I'll learn from it. It's all learning experience.
I was like, literally, when he said that, I was like, what? And then I realized I was muted, and I was like, crap.
No, man, he was good. Oh shit! I wanted to thank him for his service at the end of the show. Fuck me. I'll send him a message. I wanted to say that. I forgot to say that. Damn it! I forgot to say it for the other guys too. I apologize. So thank you for your service. All those people who have been on this show that have gone into the military either before, after, during a break in their wrestling life. Thank you.
And like, okay, you go back to a man's man. He volunteered to go to war.
Yep. He raised his hand. Was the first one.
Yeah, he volunteered.
Yep.
Let's
So,
just throw that out there.
You can't top that. So. Real stand